Eagle 95.1, WUPN, Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
It's time for The Game. Eagle 95.1 proudly brings you The Game, the Twin Sault's only regional and national sports show. For the next hour, we'll get an in-depth look at sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region and hear from coaches and players involved in The Game. Now, let's join Scott Nason at the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, for tonight's broadcast of The Game on Eagle 95.1.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to The Game on Eagle 95.1. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this Monday night. Lots of things going on at the Wicked Sister as always, including happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 5 p.m. $2 domestic bottles of beer, $1 off of draft pints and house wines. Our broadcast engineer tonight once again is Katie Woolen, and we are joined here at the Wicked Sister by Mr. Electric Avenue himself, Dave McCaig, Kegger, coming all the way from Sault, Ontario. How you doing tonight, sir?
Doing great, Scotty. How you doing, pal?
Well, I'm doing better, as both of us were fighting the virus, the cold, whatever the heck you want to call it. But, hey, we're both healthy tonight.
Yep.
Ready to talk some sports, sir?
Oh, I'm always ready to talk sports.
Even
if I wasn't 100%, I think I'm always ready to talk sports.
I think we both are. Lots to talk about. We have guests tonight from Sault High Swimming. Their head coach, Steve Habusta, will be here at around 6:15 talking about some impressive performances by the Blue Devils at this weekend's UP Championships. We'll talk to Mike York, assistant coach of the Lake State hockey team, around 6:30. And then Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports will be here at 6:45. And it's a full 2-hour show of the game. We do the first hour on the radio, focusing on local and regional sports. And then the second hour, which we record here, is the world of sports. And you can find the podcast of the game, including our shows in Sault, Ontario, along with selected broadcasts by yours truly at our new podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Lots to cover here in a short period of time. Dave, let's recap the week in high school basketball. As last Tuesday, Sault High boys were at Traverse City Central. They fell by the score of 63-40. Girls basketball Tuesday night, before my voice went completely hoarse on Wednesday. It was a good game in Alanson as Brimley lost to Alanson by the score of 40-38. Kendra Carrick had 10 points to lead the Bays. Also on Tuesday, girls basketball, Sault High all over Cedarville by the score of 62-24. Ashton Bell had 12 points to lead the Blue Devils. And one other game in girls basketball, Newberry at Pickford. It was Pickford defeating Newberry by the score of 57-49. And speaking of Sault High Blue Devil basketball, and speaking of somebody that is actually in attendance here with her mother, Mackenzie Kalchik, senior on the Lake State, she'll be on the Lake State women's team next year. She's a senior on Sault High's team. She was named one of the Michigan High School Athletic Association Scholar Athletes of the Year, as she was one of 20 students selected from around the state of Michigan. She receives a $1,000 scholarship and earning honors not just on the court but in the classroom. And hey, you know what? As a high school athlete, that's what it's all about, Dave.
That's the whole goal, is to try to get to the next level and try to achieve goals to get to the next level and get some self-accomplishments as well. And to get scholarships, school is so important, as it's the old cliche that school is so important. And to get any help towards school, because we both know, both on the United States side and the Canada side, school is not cheap.
Little pricey.
It's a little pricey, and any kind of scholarships or tuition help, anything helps from either side of the States or Canada.
Absolutely. Wednesday, boys basketball, one game, Rudyard at Detour. It was Rudyard winning in overtime by the score of 75-66. Thursday night in boys basketball, Sault High all over St. Ignace, 49-18. Congratulations to Sault High senior Brandon Paul as he becomes the fourth Sault High Blue Devil boys basketball player to score over 1,000 points, the first since Buds Menard all the way back in 1989 as the Blue Devils clinched a share of the Straits area, they clinched the title outright in boys basketball, winning over St. Ignace 49-18. Brimley in girls basketball got their third win of the year. Todd Olmstead filled in for yours truly as I had no voice on Thursday night. It was Brimley winning by the score of 57-52, and they're in action tonight at Harbor Light Christian. And games on Thursday, one other game, St. Ignace wins by the score of 68-15 as Doreen Ingalls got her 400th career win in her 19th season. Oh, by the way, her career record, Dave, 400 wins, 80 losses, and 5 state championships. Not bad.
Oh, that's a great record.
That
Start
is
calling
fantastic.
her Coach Saban? Or is that a pretty good record?
You could definitely say that. Boys basketball on Friday, Brimley was slated to take on Detour, but all that virus going around affected the Detour squad, so they did not play that game on Friday. Newberry beat St. Ignace in boys basketball on Friday by the score of 50-49. Sheboygan over Rudyard by the score of 62-50. And one game this weekend, St. Ignace, undefeated in girls basketball, went down to Detroit, Dave, and took on not just the top-ranked team in their class, but the top-ranked girls team in any class in the state of Michigan. They did lose by the score of 88-56, but there's a nice article in today's Detroit Free Press on St. Ignace going down to that trip and Doreen Ingalls and some of her things. So if you have a chance to check that out, please do, because that is a very interesting and a pretty neat article. Whenever the Free Press does an article on somebody here in the UP, it's always a good thing.
Absolutely. It's good to get recognition from any spot, and when you get that type of recognition, so definitely observe it, especially from the Free Press.
High school hockey this weekend, a pair of games at the Big Bear Arena. Sault High Blue Devils win both. They defeat Berkeley on Friday night by the score of 4-0 as Jack Pattison earned the shutout. Matthew Thurston had a pair of goals for the Blue Devils on Friday. And then on Saturday, Sault High improves to 17-6-1 on the season as freshman goaltender Logan Raphael made 32 saves as the Blue Devils defeat West Ottawa by the score of 3-1, and they will be in action Thursday night at home. Their regular season finale as they'll take on Traverse City Central. Tim Ellis will have the call of that one. And then next week, Dave, district basketball begins a week from tonight. We won't have the game for the next couple weeks here on Mondays from the Wicked Sister because we'll have district basketball starting with the girls as Brimley will take on Rudyard next Monday at 6 o'clock. We'll have the call of that one on Eagle 95.1. And then Tuesday night, the Sault High Blue Devils will start their postseason in Sheboygan for their pre-regional semifinal against the Sheboygan Chiefs. Tim Ellis will have the call of that game Tuesday around 7:15. So, hey, getting ready for playoff season, Dave. Already March Madness in February.
Oh, it's sort of flying by, isn't it?
It really
is.
Really,
you blink. It felt like it was just Christmas, and then it felt like you're celebrating New Year's. And then Valentine's Day was just the other day, and it's already almost the 20th. I believe today's
tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the 20th. Jeez, I'm a little bit behind. See, time's flying by. I can't even keep up.
Well, we got to keep up here, Dave, with all the sports. The Sioux Greyhounds, they lost, believe it or not, their second in a row on Wednesday at home. On the road at Saginaw by the score of 6-5 in a shootout. But boy, I think that might have gotten them a little upset over the weekend as they took on the two teams that were the second and third best teams, or are the second and third best teams in the OHL. They put a 10 spot on Hamilton, defeating Hamilton by the score of 10-0. We're going to talk more about that in the second hour. Their coach not happy for the Bulldogs, and we're going to one of my topics on the roundtable has to do with that, and also has to do with St. Ignace as far as high school basketball. A little teaser for the next hour. But then the Hounds win that game 10-0, and they come back on Saturday and they defeat Sarnia by the score of 7-1. And so the Hounds 47-6-2-2. They'll be on the road Saturday and Sunday taking on Windsor and London. And my good friend Don Supa, who listens to the broadcast, was talking about watching the Hounds, and I think his uncle put it best here. I got to get the quote before I get your comments on the Hounds. He was telling me that it's almost like the other teams are skating uphill against the Hounds right now, and they're just skating downhill. I mean, this is just one solid team that just appears to be getting better and better.
Absolutely. I think the team is absolutely insanely solid. And what happened last weekend, Hamilton, when they lost 5-2, then they lost to Saginaw on that shootout, it's like, I take those as little wake-up calls that, you know what, sometimes it's good to lose like that in this point in the season. We don't like to see losses that all happen, obviously, but it's good to face that adversity and kind of learn how it feels to lose hockey games, because this team hasn't lost too many hockey games. And, you know, to come into the rink last weekend, absolutely shellac Hamilton 10-0, and also put a good little beating on Sarnia was definitely something that the Hounds have shown that they still are the real deal, and this isn't a joke this year, and they obviously have the team to do it. And each time that I see them play, and each time that I even look into their game analysis, their game breakdown, this everything, I just can't see a team beating this team 4 times in a row in a best-of-7 series. I just can't see, not even Hamilton. I know Hamilton beat them at home 5-2, but whatever the excuse was, we don't like the excuse train when it comes to sports. Maybe there was tired. Maybe they didn't sleep well in the hotel. Maybe they didn't eat well. I'm not too sure. And then when they came here, maybe Hamilton didn't eat well. I don't know how what happened on the other side of the game before the game started, but the Hounds are just so absolutely lethal up and down that lineup, and they get contributions from the entirety of that lineup. And everyone's forgetting that 10-0 shellacking. Connor Timmins is still hurt.
Yeah.
Everyone's missing out the best defenseman probably in the Ontario Hockey League right now is out. And when he comes back, it just puts them even more over the top. And that quote from your friend there was definitely the right quote. It is uphill. When you play those guys, it doesn't matter if you have 3-0, 4-0 on the Hounds, they can put a 10 spot on you in one period because they have that talent to do that. And they have one of the best lines that I've seen with Frost, Radish, and Kachuk. I know I've seen lines before with Simmons and Kennedy back in the day, but in today's era and the way that line is, oh my God, it's amazing. And this team, I just can't see a team beating them in 4 games.
No.
I don't see.
Maybe one, but boy, you get a 7-game series. That's awful tough.
No, it is.
Goaltending?
Yes.
I mean, they've gotten good goaltending. Is that maybe the one thing that maybe, but I think they're in better shape than they were last year.
They don't have disastrous goaltending, and they don't have an all-star goaltending. And we all know what happened last time we tried to trade for an all-star goaltender named Jack Campbell, who I think is still in the American Hockey League, if not the East Coast League, rotting back there after the former 11th overall pick of the Dallas Stars, I believe is what he was. So you don't need that stud goaltender because Villalta and Johnson are good goaltenders.
And they're giving up 25 shots a game.
And yes, and Sambrook, I love Sambrook. I'm a big fan of Sambrook. I think he's actually the big guy back there, and Carroll is doing very well himself. The goaltending that they have right now is the goaltending that can get it done. They have the talent to do it. They're not superstardom. They're not disastrous. They're perfect talent, and they're going to stop the puck for you, especially like you said, with only getting 20, 25 shots a game. But I'm still confident that they can stop 40. Villalta has shown Spurs where he's a good goaltender. So
his
I'm not worried
record over the last 2 years is just ridiculous.
Exactly.
I mean, he lost 7 games
in
that. 2 years, if that.
And literally, I don't think I'm not worried about what they have in between the pipes. I'm not worried about obviously the back end or forward. This team is just too lethal all around.
Real quick, Dave, before we get to our guest, NLJHL from this week, the Sioux Eagles had a pair of games. They lost at Elliott Lake by the score of 6-3, and then they lost to Rayside Balfour at home by the score of 2-1. The Sioux Thunderbirds also in action this weekend. They win at Espanola by the score of 5-2, and then lose yesterday to Elliott Lake by the score of 3-1. So right now the West Division is as follows. The Rayside Balfour Canadians in first place. The Thunderbirds in second, 3 points behind them. Blind River 1 point behind the Thunderbirds, and the Eagles right now 7 points behind Blind River with 7 games to play. Right now the Eagles are almost going to have to run the table, and they could potentially face a very hot Elliott Lake team, winners of 5 straight. Still lots to sort out in the Wild West. We've said it all year. It's coming down to the wire.
Oh, it's going to come down to the last game, and we even said before, even though the Thunderbirds were in first for the majority of the season, it can change in a matter of a week or a day. Rayside Balfour is a contending team. Blind River is a contending team. The Eagles are also a contending team, and like you've said since all along, Elliott Lake, you don't want to play those guys in the first round.
They're getting hot right now.
You don't want to play that team in the first round, and I couldn't agree with you more, Scotty. So that Rayside being in first, I think that was last week when I was on Thursday when we were recording the game, is when I saw that Rayside did leap the Thunderbirds, and I'm not surprised.
They're a tough team.
They're
built for the playoffs.
Exactly, and it's going to come down. Even the Thunderbirds being 3 points behind, you don't want to be behind by those 3 points. You want to keep in and try to win each game out. You want to try to win every game from here on in, going to the playoffs hot. But that West, whoever's in first now might be in fourth by next week. That team in second might be in first. The team in third might be in first. So it's definitely going to come to an exciting conclusion of the NOJHL season.
Eagles will be at home Wednesday against Rayside Balfour and Friday against Espanola. We're going to take our first break on the game as our guests have arrived. We will be talking Sault High Swimming with their head coach Steve Habusta and one of their swimmers, as the Blue Devils had some very impressive individual efforts this weekend. We'll talk to the coach about that and more coming up on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get wicked at the Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for the whole family. Start off with some appetizers like the crab dip, served with warm non-bread strips and soft pretzel bites, or their antibiotic and hormone-free boneless chicken wings with 5 choices of sauces. Entrees include the barbecue pulled pork sandwich, the #1 selling drunken cow burger, or Philly cheesesteaks, and they're on special all day Thursdays. The Wicked Sister also offers a gluten-free menu and catering. Bring the whole family. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashman Street, open 7 days a week.
Hi, this is Paul Maurice from the Winnipeg Jets, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this Monday night. And do be aware we are under a winter weather advisory as there are some possible tough conditions coming our way. Right now it looks pretty good out there, but we could have some mixed precipitation. They do have some rain and ice downstate, so please be careful if you're out driving tonight. The Wicked Sister on Ashman Street is offering their Lent specials, offered all day on Fridays for our guests observing the season of Lent. And this week, they're offering a special seafood macaroni and cheese. We'll be joined at 6:30 by Mike York, assistant coach of the Laker men's hockey team. We'll bring back Dave McCaig during that segment as he is enjoying one of the appetizers here at the Wicked Sister. And we are joined right now by a couple guests, including Sault High Swimming head coach Steve Habusta and one of their participants in the UP Finals who we've had on the game before, sophomore Andrew Innerebner, joining us here on the game. Gentlemen, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having us.
And, well, Steve, let's go to you first, as the Blue Devils were in action this weekend at the UP Swimming and Diving Finals in Marquette, and you had some very impressive individual performances and some records broken, so I want to hear all about it, sir. The floor is yours before we get to Andrew.
Absolutely. Our meet started out on Friday night with our diving, and I just want to give a shout-out to this guy's mom, Allison, who helped work with our divers all year, and it really showed. Our divers had great performances. Cameron Bowers, as a freshman, placed third at UP Finals and really just showed some perfection, and then Connor Habusta, my son, with a 6th-place finish and really showing some toughness and some courage and throwing some hard dives.
Did you learn that from Dad?
No, not
okay, I was going to say, have you jumped off a diving board before?
Yeah. I got pushed.
I did in the Navy once for boot camp. That's the last time I've been on a diving board.
Exactly, but it really was a microcosm for what would happen the rest of the meet. And, really cool to see on our boys' side. Levi Olson and Andrew Innerebner step up and have a great meet. 2 different ways. Levi just perfection through his 4th time winning the 50 free and then setting a UP record, event record in the 100 freestyle and had a great meet. And then Andrew, what doesn't show up is that Andrew was sick. Came down with a nasty cough and a cold, and yet showed up at this meet and set the UP record in the 500 free, the longest event. So when you're sick and you set a UP record in the longest event, that's really something. So really incredible testament to him to overcoming that, and did a great job. And then on our girls' side, it was just another just awesome meet right from the diving, Tori Anderson, to our Allie Robertson, our young freshman, who just came through in another couple UP records in the butterfly and the breaststroke, beating a couple of the oldest records on the board. So really an excellent meet individually, but also some great senior leaders whose names don't show up there in the records, but Maddie Swanson, who leads our team by example, Tori Anderson leading our team, Basil Mansfield. Really had an amazing meet stepping up, and some great young freshmen on the girls' side coming in and competing as well. So we had a great meet across the board. It was really a meet where everything came together.
Well, let's go to Andrew right now, Coach. Before we get to the race, Andrew, I was battling that same thing that you had this weekend. I was actually off of work for 3 days. I couldn't do a broadcast. How in the world were you able to compete and, well, win under those conditions? I mean, what's your specialty? Is that a secret, or what did you do to prepare being under the weather?
No, it just came down to the team, wanting the team to do better at UP Finals, having to step up and overcome your sickness for the better of the team. That's about it.
Yeah, well, it obviously worked, Andrew, and we'll discuss that off air of some of your remedies maybe to get a little more energy. But, being a sophomore in this event, winning it, I mean, we've had you on the show many times. I mean, there's some really impressive performances here. Kind of get you geeked up to, for such a big race to perform and to do well. I mean, that had to be quite a weekend for you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun spending time with the teams, breaking records, getting to come home and tell the town that we came and showed up to perform at Marquette.
Coach, how often is it that a player, or a swimmer, wins an event 4 years in a row? As a freshman to a senior, I have in my notes here the first swimmer ever in UP history to win the 50 free 4 years in a row. I mean, obviously in that event, but does it happen in others? I mean, it's pretty rare.
Yeah, it is. And going back through, I think, on the girls' side, Jenny Laguna, whose records just got broke, I think probably did in the breaststroke. And, I think we've seen a diver do it, but I've been coaching, and following coaching the UP for 12 years now, and I haven't seen it. So that's really special. And the flip side, too, what Andrew's doing is special as well. He's got 4 individual wins in 4 different events.
Yeah.
I mean, so you see 2 different really amazing skill sets that we don't often see. A kid who can win a same event 4 years in a row, and a kid who can win 4 different events in 2 years. I mean, that's just between the two of them. Boy, we were really blessed to have them on our team this year.
Head coach Steve Habusta joining us here on the game along with one of his swimmers, Andrew Innerebner. Now, Andrew, I think I've asked you this before, but remind me of the 4 that you swim. What is your favorite event? I mean, do you have a favorite? Do you have a least favorite?
My favorite event is probably the 200 freestyle. That's what I specialize in. And my
least 4 times?
That's 4 lengths.
Okay.
Yeah.
Measurement's not my strong suit, guys.
Yeah.
So
my least favorite is anything with breaststroke in it. That's just my weak spot that I've been trying to hit and practice and improve on.
Being that you're a sophomore, Andrew, obviously you have a couple more years on Soo High. Do you have any higher aspirations as far as your swimming career past high school, or are you just kind of looking year to year at this point?
I'm really hoping to swim competitively throughout college, get my college tuition paid for. Other than that, that's how far I've planned and work for it every day.
And we've seen that happen, Coach, with some of the Soo High swimmers and divers. As a coach, are you in contact at all with some college as far as promoting your athletes? How does that work?
Yeah, and it's one of those things where Andrew can't be contacted by coaches until after his until his junior year.
Yeah.
But they've already been in contact with me, and so Andrew's already being looked at by schools and things like that. It's really one of those things where swimming comes down to getting your times out there.
Yeah.
And that's why Allie and Andrew both swim beyond high school. They swim their club times to get those times out there, swim in some big meets, and really try to get out into the swim world.
This may seem like a strange question, but not being a swimmer, getting the times out there. Is every pool identical? I mean, is there like some pools where it's faster, like you see some tracks or sometime, or is it basically the same in any pool in the state of Michigan, or at least the ones that you do?
We hate Glasnow.
Okay, I figured it was probably a prompt question there.
That's a slow pool, right, Andrew?
Yeah, you just get that feeling when you get in the water. Maybe it's too warm. Maybe the water is quote-unquote too thick or too salty, and there's all these different conditions where you'll just get that feeling where you like it or not.
Do you think some do it intentionally?
I think different pools have different focuses.
Sure,
There's a lot
sure.
of that. So, Gladstone, which is a YMCA pool, has a lot of senior
Okay.
activities and things there, so the temperature's a little warmer, than a high school pool type of thing. So I think that's more of the reason than anything. I like a cold pool. I always think kids swim faster.
I
in a
would think
cold
so.
pool.
Yeah, you don't want it like a hot tub.
Yeah,
You're just going to be lounging out there, wouldn't you? Coach, a couple more questions here. Got another one for Andrew before we let you go. Who are some of the people that have helped out? You mentioned Andrew's mother. Who are some of the others that have helped you during the season, and some that have helped the younger athletes to get to Sioux High? I mean, obviously you got some freshmen, sophomores doing great things. Who are some of the other people helping out Sioux High swimming?
Yeah, really we've had a great parent group this year. A great group of parents who have been all involved in helping across the board. I'll give a shout out to my wife, and it's really a different position that we're in now, being not just a coach but also a coach and a parent, and just from opening up our home constantly to the kids and that type of thing really helped develop that family atmosphere. But we've got some great people working with swimmers here between the U.S. side and Canada. Dyke Justin's worked with Andrew for a lot of years, does a great job with that. There's just over in Canada a great program. The Sioux Surge do a fantastic job over there. Over here too, Levi is working with me all off season, and so these kids who are excelling are really putting in work beyond the high school level, and that's where a lot of those extra hands really show up and help.
Final question for you, Andrew, as far as from now until next season. Do you play any other sports? If so, which ones? If not, what are some of the things that you do during the off season to prepare you for next season, which will probably be here sooner than you think?
When it comes to sports, I play on the Sioux High varsity soccer team. That's in the fall, and throughout the summer I keep swimming, training, hobbies, like I like to hunt.
Very
I
good.
like to deer hunt.
Very good.
But I just make sure to keep staying in the water, keeping my stroke 100%, and just not getting out of shape.
Well, gentlemen, it was great having you on. Some fantastic results. Loved hearing it this morning, and I appreciate you guys coming by on short notice. Head coach Steve Habusta with the Sioux High swimming and diving team, along with sophomore swimmer Andrew Innerebner, who finished first in the men's 100 fly and the men's 500 free. Gentlemen, congratulations. Great results. Any final words before we let you go?
Well, we just really appreciate the attention to swimming. It's a great sport here in the UP, and it's really one of those things. There's so many kids in this community who aren't ready to get on a pair of skates and get on the ice and are looking for something to keep them active, and we just want to encourage any of those to get into the pool, and it's a great way to keep active during the winter months.
Well, thanks for coming on, gentlemen, and best of luck during the off season, and come next winter. We'd love to have you on again before the season and maybe after another successful UP Finals.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, we'll be back talking Laker hockey with their assistant coach Mike York on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
The Wicked Sister, Sioux, Michigan. Check TripAdvisor. Ranked right towards the top. Awarded the Certificate of Excellence, as well as voted #1 pub in the UP. The Wicked Sister has managed to create a casual menu that offers unique, creative, and sometimes healthy offerings that rivals menu selections of any big city. Burgers and starters, snacks and shareable, soups and salads, sandwiches and tapas. On Ashman Street, Sioux, Michigan. Welcome to the Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1. Scott Nason along with Dave McCaig broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this Monday night. Once again, we're under a winter weather advisory until early Wednesday morning. Be careful if you're out and about tonight and over the next day or so. And at the Wicked Sister, they will cater your event. Maybe a work lunch, a gathering, celebration. Call them here at 259-1086. And they will let you know how. We'll be joined by Butch Davis from the Telegram News and Butch on Sports here in about 12 minutes or so, but we're joined right now by assistant coach for the Lake Superior State University Hockey Lakers, Mike York, as he is coming back off a long recruiting trip. Mike, thanks for coming in and joining us on the game.
Thanks for having me.
Well, it's been a good few weeks for the Lakers as 4 straight wins on the road, winning those 2 games at Bemidji and then winning up at Alaska Anchorage. So you guys have gotten yourselves in pretty good playoff position. I wouldn't say pretty good, but you've gotten yourself in a position to potentially make it to the playoffs as you take on Ferris State this weekend in Big Rapids. Before we get to that, Coach, it was a long road trip, a 2-week road trip with the travel and everything. Do you think that helped this team at this point as far as putting the wins and maybe creating some team cohesion?
I think so. Obviously when you get on the road, we were struggling a little bit at home. We get on the road, and all you're kind of doing is just focusing on hockey. You guys have some school work, but they're not in the classroom, and it's kind of a bonding. You're doing team activities. You're going to movies. We went to the Mall of America in Minnesota, and they were able to do some stuff up in Alaska. So it's definitely a team bonding thing. It's late in the year, but it obviously helped us, and especially getting those wins was huge for us.
And you had some recruiting duties. I know you can't really talk much about that, but you were in British Columbia for a while looking at some players for the future. I mean, that's a long time recruiting. What are some of the specific things that you do on a recruiting trip as far as just in general without naming names and teams and stuff?
Well, some of it's, just seeing some of the players that we have coming in and seeing how they're doing, and obviously trying to get a head start on some players that you're looking at in the future. A lot it's late in the season for those teams as well, and sometimes they bring up young guys that you kind of get your first look at.
Sure. See, last week, I had the pleasure of being in the presence of a good friend of mine, Aiden Wright, your captain, and having him on the show last week. He was saying how confident the team was going into this weekend being arguably the biggest weekend of the year because it's the make or break weekend for LSSU to get into the playoffs, where this season there was fair to say, Coach, that there was expectations to be a playoff team. So going into this weekend, what is is that positivity still, is the momentum from last week still carrying into next weekend? How is the atmosphere in that room from your perspective?
It's been good. We're coming off the long trip. We gave the guys a few days off to catch up with schoolwork, and obviously school's important, and they got to keep up. And so we gave them some rest and kind of relaxed, and did some bowling last Friday.
Nice.
We only skated twice, so I think everything's they're rejuvenated and ready to go back at it. And practice was real good today. Obviously, when you're coming off 4 wins in a row, it's huge for us. And hockey's a big confidence thing. I think you can feel that confidence from everybody in the room.
Mike Yerk joining us on the game, assistant coach of the Laker hockey team, who will be in action at Ferris this weekend. Coach, let's look ahead to this weekend. A Ferris team that seems to be going in the other direction right now, as they had a tough weekend at Minnesota State. Many teams have had tough weekends in Mankato this year. A team that came up here and beat you guys. How are you feeling as far as this matchup? I mean, you're pretty much going to have to win 2 games to assure to get in the playoffs. I mean, taking on this Ferris team, what do you look for as far as the keys to beat the Bulldogs?
Well, we don't look past Friday. Friday's the biggest one. That's right there is our season. It's almost a must-win situation.
Right.
Either you're getting in the kind of relying on other teams and what they're doing and all the tiebreakers and stuff. So it's a must-win for us. Basically, we're going in there. It's a smaller rink, tough place to play. We just got to play between the whistles, not get involved in any other extra stuff after the whistles. Be disciplined and play a solid defensive game, and I think we'll get our chances offensively.
Health-wise, are you guys finally back to pretty much full strength? Are there any key guys still out of the lineup this weekend, or you guys pretty much got your full contingent ready?
I think we got our full contingent. We're ready to go. I mean, there's some bumps and bruises over those 4 games, on road trip and traveling and stuff like that. But like I said, with the rest that the guys got, I think everyone's ready to go.
See, last weekend the success was obviously there, winning out the road trip. Now coming, with that success that you had, what can you do to carry over into next week? And what was so successful on the road trip that brought forth those wins that you can bring into Ferris State? Because also being in such a big weekend, the nerves are going to kick in. It's real. This is like this time of the year where like you said, it's a make or break. So what are the successes that you can bring forth from last weekend to this weekend against Ferris?
I think it all starts defensively. We going into Bemidji, 2 shutouts. Our goalies played great. Our D played great. The forwards were playing on the right side of the puck. If the team doesn't score goals, the chances are they're not going to win. And we were able to do that in Bemidji. And then same thing in Alaska. You win 1-goal games and you play well defensively, and we were able to capitalize on our opportunities.
Coach, your first year up here is almost complete. Hopefully we'll go a few more weeks into the playoffs. But what has been your reflection on this year as far as things that you've done living here in Sault Ste. Marie? Has been a positive experience so far.
It has. It's been good. It's I had a baby, so that
congratulations.
So that was a
wow
change in not lifestyle,
a little bit.
sleep pattern.
Is this your first first one?
Second.
A second, okay.
Yeah, 8-year gap. So
okay.
it's right back to changing diapers.
I
and
remember
stuff
well.
Yeah. So that's it's been a different for my family, but it's been a positive thing. We for me it's kind of a new chapter in life, moving away from playing to coaching, and I've enjoyed it. And Rich and Damon have been great helping me along and helping me do some stuff. There's it's a different being a player and a coach. Being a player, you can kind of get out there and make a difference. As a coach, you're trying to explain and help in a different way. But it's still hockey, and I love being part of hockey and being a part of Laker hockey. And the kids have been great. We have a good group of guys in the room, and it's been fun. Obviously, winning more games has been more fun.
And head coach Damon Whitten played hockey. Rich Mitro, assistant coach, played hockey. But you played professional hockey. We wanted to talk a little bit about your Olympic experience. But as a coach that has played in the pros, and obviously a lot of these guys want to go play pro hockey. Is that something, obviously, that's been, to your benefit as a guy that's been there? Do the guys respond well to that?
I think so. I think growing up, everybody who plays hockey, their ambition or goal is to play pro hockey, and not just me, but Rich and Damon. We want to make that possible for those guys, and it's a constant, trying to help them, reach that goal every day. And I think for the most part we do a pretty good job with it, and moving forward, hopefully some of our guys will get that opportunity.
I'm sure when you're behind the bench, you probably get the urge of you want to put on the skates and get out there and do some more dangles or snipe some more goals. Probably, hey.
You get that, yeah. There's once or twice you get a little, you wish you could jump on the ice, but I know for sure I don't have any eligibility.
No, we don't want to go there.
Yeah, but at the same time, like I said, it's still in hockey, and you still get that, that desire, that the competitiveness in it. It's still there, and you still get a rewarding feeling when you win games.
Mike York joining us on the game, assistant coach of the Laker men's hockey team. They'll be in action this weekend at Ferris State. Mike wanted to mention, obviously, lots of people are watching the Olympics right now, including hockey. You were part of the 2002 U.S. men's team in Salt Lake City that won the silver medal. And the question I have is just your overall Olympic experience. I had a chance to look at the rosters of the guys that you played with. Lemieux, Gretzky, just to name a few. And that was the Canadian team, fortunately, that beat the U.S., I might add, Dave. But
not going to say anything.
No, but just that had to be just one of the highlights, I would assume, of your hockey playing career. Just tell us a little bit about the experience of playing the Olympics at Salt Lake.
Yeah, it probably was. I was the youngest guy on that team, and most of those guys I grew up watching play.
Sure.
So it was a big thrill for me. But I think for me, I didn't get tons of ice time, but I went in there. I was in the NHL, I was probably an offensive player, but I knew on that team I was going to be probably a fourth line player, killing some penalties. So, but I enjoyed it. And just for me, it was about learning from those guys and taking everything in like a sponge. But it was an awesome experience being a part of the Olympic Village, seeing other athletes from around the world. It was incredible.
And Dave, you were mentioning the coach of that U.S. team.
Absolutely, Herb Brooks. Even over on the Canadian side, we have mad respect for Herb Brooks. That and that miracle on ice. I imagine learning from him. We were kind of discussing off air, but just to kind of ask you on air with it, it must have been a treat to have him as a coach. Where God bless him, the year after where he had his accident in 2003. It must have been great to learn from him.
It was. I had a poster on my wall growing up as a kid from the 1980 team, and I didn't know what to expect from him because you kind of heard stories about how he was a pretty tough coach.
Again.
Yeah, exactly. So it was kind of like how is this going to work? He's only going to have us for 2 or 3 weeks, but he that's how good of a coach he was. He adapted to the way we were, and we were pros, we weren't college kids, so he adapted and treated us like pros, and was an awesome experience for me, and I think for the guys, it's unfortunate we couldn't keep the role going that he had on home soil and win that gold medal game. But looking back on it, it was an awesome experience.
Mike York joining us on the game. Coach, thanks for coming in. Best of luck this weekend at Ferris, and hopefully you guys can get into the playoffs and make an extended run. And we'd love to have you back sometime on the game. Thanks again for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be back with Butch Davis from the Telegram News to get us up to date on the Detroit sports scene. And we'll also talk about more about the Winter Olympics. That's coming up on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get wicked at Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for you and your family. Start off with some wicked appetizers like the crab dip, served with soft pretzel bites and warm non-bread strips, and delicious boneless chicken wings that are antibiotic and hormone-free with 5 choices of sauces. Try the barbecue pulled pork sandwich or the #1 selling drunken cow burger and the chicken caprese flatbread. Check out the Wicked Sister gluten-free menu and catering. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashman Street, 7 days a week.
Hi, this is Joe Bowen, and you're listening to the Game Sports Show from Sault Ste. Marie.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. Our co-host Dave McCaig enjoying some of the beautiful appetizers here at the Wicked Sister. He'll rejoin us here in the second hour. And just a reminder that we are under a winter weather advisory here in the Eastern Upper Peninsula till early Wednesday morning. So be careful driving out and about as it's snowing right now. It could mix with some freezing rain later on, so please take caution. Here at the Wicked Sister, they have their happy hour Monday through Friday from 2 to 5 p.m. $2 for domestics, $1 off of draft pints and house wines. We'll be joined by Dave McCaig and E.J. Russell here in the second hour of the game, which you can find online at our podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. But we are joined right now by Butch Davis from the Metro Detroit area and the Telegram News and the radio show Butch on Sports, as Butch joins us each week to examine the Metro Detroit sports scene, along with sports in general. Butch, I know you're not getting snow down there. I heard it's pretty warm. How you doing tonight, my friend?
It's not warm, but it's raining. It's going to rain for the next 3 days. I'm trying to build an ark and whatever it may be so I can just float down the stream here, man. It is raining very hard here. And from all verifications here from the weatherman, it's going to be raining here for the next 3 games. Getting warmer, by the way, yes, but tomorrow will be 65 degrees in Detroit, but rainy. Oh, boy. We'll find out. We'll see here.
It's warm and tropical up here, Butch. You know that. Well, let's get to the sports that we want to hear more of, including the Detroit Red Wings. They were in action last night at Little Caesars Arena, and Austin Matthews scored a goal with 30 seconds left to lift the Toronto Maple Leafs to a 3-2 victory over the Detroit Red Wings. The Wings will host Nashville on Tuesday, a team that they just beat on Friday night. Currently 7 points out of the final wild card spot with 4 teams ahead of them. The Wings go 2-2 last week. Butch, give us an update on the Detroit Red Wings, sir.
Well, Mr. Blashill wasn't too happy yesterday, although to me they played a doggone good game against the Toronto Maple Leafs at Little Caesars Arena last night there. Their goaltending is getting better. Reason it's getting better because the defense is getting a lot better there. They're doing a lot more checking forwards. They're doing a lot more protecting the goaltender, and they're doing a whole heck of a lot of blocking shots here. And I'm very impressed with that. That's what they're going to have to do. The team is getting younger and not older, so you're seeing more time with some of the rookies and some of the younger players than they're doing with the older players there. They're kind of spelling it out. After seeing him, I'm quite sure you know that he got sat down on his tail for 1 game, but he came out there the next game and did a pretty admirable job playing offense as well as defense there. I think that is the tone that Jeff Blashill is going to take with the Detroit Red Wings, is he's going to be sitting guys who's not putting up the effort. And to me, that is a good thing, not a bad thing at all.
Then, of course, next Monday, Butch, the trade deadline in the NHL, and, we're not going to speculate too much here tonight, but obviously I would assume that the Detroit Red Wings will probably be more sellers than buyers this year, as they do have some assets there. And you look at their goaltenders, how long are they going to be able to keep Mrazek and Howard? Do you expect any, if many, moves from the Wings at this point, Butch?
With the Red Wings salary based the way it is, it's kind of high and low, You kind of speculate on basically would some team be obviously interested in 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of the players there. And I would say, no, they won't. It's a hard thing to keep yourself below that salary cap there. I'm expecting maybe 1, maybe 2 players be kind of moved here. But again, that's kind of a speculation sorts. But in the point of reality here, I don't see too many Red Wings be moving at all here. I think they're going to keep or be able to keep the same team that they have on the ice. If anything, they're going to bring in more kids from the Ontario League to go over to Grand Rapids, and from Grand Rapids come down in Detroit.
Butch, let's move on to the Detroit Pistons, who have not played since early last week when they defeated Atlanta. Of course, this weekend, the All-Star game in Los Angeles. The Pistons will resume play on Friday night at home against Boston. The Pistons right now 28-29. Give us an update on the Pistons as they head through the stretch run and hopefully for them the playoffs.
Well, they scared a lot of foes there with that little mini winning streak now, but now things are back to reality again for the Detroit Pistons, with players not putting up the effort. It's Smith not putting up the effort. Luke Kennard injured, so we can't blame him there. But again, we're not seeing the effort of playing defense on this team being a thoroughfare for getting to the playoffs. If they don't play defense, you can forget about the playoffs. I don't care who you run and get, who you hire in, or whatever it may be. They got to sell out or sell themselves on defense. Now, it's nice for Stan Van Gundy he's a very honest man. He talks about it a whole heck of a lot. He's very boisterous when it comes down to saying what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong. But again, when it comes down to doing something wrong, he does not, to me, have the influence to the other players to get it done right here. And eventually, he's going to have to make a decision, either taking the general manager's job or being a coach, because right now, both is not in his livelihood. He might be the best talent person in town. And I believe the Pistons have the talent to do a better job than what they're doing. However, if he doesn't have the influence over the players to do what's right on that court, it's very hard for me to see him retain or be retained to be a coach in some way, shape, form, or fashion. Somewhere down the line, Tom Gores is going to have to have a coming to Jesus meeting with Stan Van Gundy and find out where his strengths really are in bringing this team to the level they should be. Right now, the Pistons should be a better team than what they are. They start off 28-14, and then they blow 15 games at a reasonable bound. That's 7 in a row, then 8 in a row. That's just not working out here, buddy.
Butch Davis joining us on the game. And Butch, I wanted to save a little chunk of time here for the Winter Olympics as I was out sick for the majority of last week and had a lot of chance to watch the Winter Games going on in South Korea. And I just wanted to get your overall thoughts on the Winter Games here as we're past the halfway point. Some of the things that you've seen, that you've enjoyed, and just your overall feel as somebody that's covered the Winter Olympics as a media member. What's your thoughts so far on the Winter Games?
I'm very impressed. I'm very impressed.
Me too.
And a lot of things there. I'm very impressed with Canada and they're showing right now. I did not know they were that. I knew they were good, and I know they are a winner team, winner sport type of scenario there. Boy, but I didn't know they were that doggone good and a whole heck of a lot of things there. I'm impressed with the snowboarding for the Americans there, and I'm also impressed with the brand of hockey that I've been seeing being played there. It's been fantastic. I think we're going to get the better than the worse during this next week here. We're going to see some fantastic stuff here, and it fits me better to get up early in the morning during those insomnia moments there to watch some Olympics and live and in full color rather than to wake up and wait till 8 o'clock at night and knowing good and well it's all gone.
One of the things we were talking about, Butch, with one of our guests, Mike York, who played on the 2002 Olympic team, was just some of the other games going on in hockey. And obviously you don't have a lot of the professionals, at least the ones in the NHL, but I watched Finland and Sweden. I believe that was Sunday morning. Just a fantastic game. He was talking about Germany and Norway and just some of these others. Look at Slovenia. They beat the United States. You have, just a lot of good stories that, I think the hockey, in my perspective, has been pretty entertaining. What about you?
I do agree with that. The hockey has been very entertaining there on both sides of the board. So for the Canadians as well as the United States, have been trying very hard. But again, the Russian team that we get to see, Pavel Datsyuk and some of the other players who went on over there to KHL, boy, we get to see them and see how their progress is. And they haven't lost a beat there. That's going to be somewhat, unless the Russians get cited for doping again here, I expect the Russians to take the hockey thing very seriously there. Close to Canada, I think it's going to be Canada and Russians playing for the championship there.
They did have a curler, Butch, that got apparently busted for doping, I believe, today.
Yeah. A husband and wife team, and the husband got caught, and they might have to give up that bronze medal that they won there.
That brings me to my final thoughts on the Olympics is curling. Something obviously you and Dave probably know a little more about than I do, being Canadians and watching it, and not being able to watch so much Olympics coverage over the last few days. I got to say, I love the curling. I really do. It doesn't matter who's playing. I'll watch any match. The U.S. beat Canada in men's for the first time, I believe, ever. Butch, is curling Butch Davis approved?
Oh, yeah, it's very much so approved to me here. It's a patient type of game, more like the baseball here. Baseball is a patient game. If you're not ready for just, thinking about strategic things here, you're going to be lost and you're not going to like it. But it's a longing process type of game when you go to 10 frames. And the nice thing about it is you're tied in 10 frames. You keep going until somebody gets where you have to go there. But again, it's a thinking game. It's a skill game. And I like it personally there.
We got to get Dave McCaig in here for his thoughts on curling, Butch, before we get to our final words in the first hour. I know you like curling, Dave.
I do enjoy curling. I've actually grown on me more, especially since the last Olympics with Brad Jacobs winning the gold medal. Sault Ste. Marie.
That's
right. It's definitely grown in Sault Ste. Marie. I wish I want to get more involved and actually try curling. It's definitely enjoyable to do, but to see the States beat Canada, it's congratulations to the States with that. It's a long time coming.
That's their gold medal, basically.
And that was good for USA to capitalize on Team Canada there. I thought that Team Canada really didn't play as smart as they could have, because that's the big thing about curling is strategic. It's also skill-wise. There's a lot of other factors in it, but I'm starting to really learn that curling is more of the strategic side of the game, and it's definitely enjoyable to watch, and kudos to the States. That's enjoyable to watch.
We're going to talk more about the Winter Olympics in the second hour. Butch, before we end this first hour, what's on your docket this week as far as sporting events you're covering for Butch on Sports and the Telegram News?
Well, let me give a couple of congrats here right quick here. First, congrats here for Dorian Ingles here to travel a million miles from the Upper Peninsula to come on down here and play Detroit Edison there and get their rear end kicked on in there. But again, for her to celebrate her 400 victory and whatnot, that lady, I've known her off and on for quite some time here. And to hear about that she was in town, I'm sorry I didn't go to the game and go see her there. But you know what? I give that team kudos. St. English for coming on down there and doing their thing down in the city in the Big D. And finally here, there's some bad news, and some of you may be familiar with this guy here. Cliff Russell used to be a newscaster for WWJ here in Detroit. He's also done a magnificent job as the head of communications for the Detroit Tigers at one point in time. He did play-by-play announcing for Wayne State University in football, and currently he is the play-by-play announcer for, the UD Mercy basketball team. Cliff Russell died last night at 61 years of age. He was in Chicago getting ready to get set to do the game tonight at UD in Chicago. We are very, very big and sad there. I've been on the show a couple of times on 910, the Superstation here in Detroit. I used to work with him when I was writing for the Wayne State's South End News. And he's a very enjoyable guy. I shared many moments in that radio broadcasting booth with him and dealing with internships. Cliff Russell dead at 61 years of age. A magnificent guy. He will be missed so.
Butch Davis joining us on the game. Butch will be with us for the second hour, which you can find online. Butch, hold tight for a couple minutes. We'll get back to you here once we start the second hour, sir.
Certainly.
And that's going to do it here for hour one of the game. Want to thank our broadcast engineer, Katie Woolen, back in the Eagle 95.1 studios. Want to thank you, Dave McCaig, who will be along for the second hour along with Butch and E.J. Russell. Also want to thank our guests, head coach Steve Habusta of the Sioux High swimming and diving team, along with sophomore Andrew Innerebner, and Lake State assistant men's hockey coach Mike York, as the Lakers will be in Ferris to take on the Bulldogs couple wins, and they'll be in the playoffs. Once again, if you want to hear the full 2-hour show, including Butch's show, Butch on Sports, you can find that at the brand new podcast page of the game. And you can find that at thegamesportshow.podbean.com. We also do selected broadcasts of yours truly for Sioux High hockey, Sioux Eagles hockey, Brimley Bays basketball, and more.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game. It's all about the game and how you play it. All about control, and if you can take it, all about your debt. And if you can pay it, it's all about pain. And who's gonna make it?
Thank you for tuning in to The Game, heard Monday nights from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on Eagle 95.1, also online at radioeaglesioux.com and the podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. I hope you're enjoying the broadcast. Now, if you want to hear more of the Twin Sault's only local, regional, and national talk show, I encourage you to visit our website at thegamesportshow.com, and you can tune into a pair of broadcasts of the Game Sports Show from Sault, Ontario. Our co-host here on the game, Mr. Electric Avenue Dave McCaig, broadcasts the show on Wednesday night from Sports Center Bar and Grill in Sault, Ontario, along with his regular contributors, Jamie Antonello, Justin Heichel, and Dane Hantro. They focus on football with their In the Pocket segment, talking about the NFL, along with basketball and the NBA, and other sports, including tennis, golf, soccer, and the WWE. If you like hockey, Thursday nights are for you, as the Game Sports Show is broadcasting from Boston Pizza in Sault, Ontario, with Dave McCaig, along with his regular contributors, Justin Heichel and Dane Hantro. Now, this show focuses on hockey in the wintertime and baseball in the summer, and will include guests and interviews from local and national figures. Once again, you can hear 3 versions of the game at our website, thegamesportshow.com, or at the podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Also on the podcast page, you will find selected audio broadcasts of Sioux Eagles home games, Brimley Bays basketball, and Sioux High Blue Devil hockey, along with game contributor Butch Davis and his broadcasts of Butch on Sports. You can also find us on YouTube. Look for the Scott Nason channel. Thank you for listening, and keep it locked here to the game for all your local, regional, and national sports talk that you just can't get enough of. Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1. Scott Nason, along with Dave McCaig, broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this Monday night in February. And the Wicked Sister has lots going on, as always, and it is the Lenten season, and the Wicked Sister is offering specials all day on Friday for their guests observing Lent, and this week's special, seafood mac and cheese. This is the second hour of the game, available online at the podcast page, thegamesportshow.podbean.com. There you can find this show, along with Dave McCaig, who does his shows over in Sault, Ontario, from Boston Pizza and Sports Center Bar and Grill. We also put Butch Davis's show, Butch on Sports, on the new podcast page, along with other selected broadcasts. And we are joined once again by Butch Davis from the Telegram News, and our next guest on the Team Verizon hot seat, Team Wireless hot seat. Got it wrong there. EJ Russell, who's battling what I battled there last week. EJ, how you doing, sir?
I am here. I'm happy to be here in whatever seat I'm sitting in tonight, whatever it's called. But happy to be here. Happy to hang out with you guys.
Well, EJ, let's go to your topic first. This is the portion of the show where we talk about the world of sports. Butch, I'll give you first crack at EJ's topic. So, EJ Russell, on the Team Wireless hot seat, what would you like to bring up on the roundtable tonight, sir?
Well, I don't know about you guys, but my TV has been glued to one thing and one thing only, and that's the Olympics. So just general Olympics talk. What have you been watching? What haven't you been watching? What's been more entertaining than what you've expected to be? Medals, whatever. Just general Olympics here.
Butch, you and I talked about this a little bit in the first hour. Do you want to expand on more Olympics here, or add anything that you didn't mention already, sir?
Sure, we'll expand on it. Sure. We looked at the figure skating. We saw some flukes. If you saw it live, Gabriel, I don't want to mention her last name because she had a wardrobe misfortune there on live television there, and I felt bad for her. But again, the skating problems were pretty good indeed. you get to see some snafus like that there. Janet Jackson is not the only one embarrassed.
Indeed.
That was live and in color. I tell you, but the hockey is really what has been intriguing me, and the ratio of hockey. Why many saying that the NHL is not going to be involved this year. The hockey's going to be a fluke. I find it to be very entertaining, and very enjoyable here. I enjoyed it. The game I watched yesterday. I mean, it took me to really, take a liking to the Olympics. Is the Korean game against Canada. I watched that game yesterday, and although Canada won the game here, I saw some competitive stuff going on there with both teams there. And the Koreans could be so proud of the performance they gave them. I mean, they were, I would say, I'm going to use the word balling, because that game for 2 periods was very entertaining there. The goaltending was outstanding there. Canadian goaltender wasn't bothered too much in the first period, but and it was always the North Korean goaltender, Dalton, who was doing all the good stuff there. But on the flip side of it, when North Korea seemed to get their legs up, especially when they got the ice advantage for the 4 minutes, they were acting they were clowning there. It's just sorry no pucks went in the net for them there, but you can't say they were lacking the effort. If the Detroit Red Wings could give the effort those North Koreans gave, we would be in the catbird seat. But I have to take my hat off to North Korea and what they did in that game.
Dave, let's go to you next. Your overall thoughts on the Olympics. We've touched on curling, we've touched on hockey, a few other things. I want to get your thoughts as a Canadian. Butch mentioned it in the first hour, country of Canada doing pretty well as far as results in the medal count.
Yes, Canada's doing very well, and that the winter sports is definitely Canada's specialty, right? That's where Canada really excels in the world of sports, because it's winter, not 6 months of the year. I don't care what any other Canadian says. It's winter 9 to 10 months out of the year, it feels like. But that's where figure skating with curling, snowboarding, bobsleighing, hockey, obviously being our number one sport. All the sports like that, we definitely do very well in. Figure skating and curling is where we've been dominant, but we lost to the United States in curling. Good to the United States for that. A very emotional win for the States as well, for the first time beating us ever in that circumstance. Figure skating, Tessa Virtue and Scott Moore, those are legends in the world of figure skating and pair skating. You got Patrick Chan, who's doing more of the coaching side of things now, but we've had some legends come out of the figure skating realm there with Canada, and even beyond still now with Canada still doing well in the skating portion. And, they... Even with the skiing, I may get the sport wrong here. One of you three can correct me. The skiing where you have the slopes and you go right down the hill. I wonder why I forget the name.
Slalom?
Slalom. Thank you very much. We did well at that this year as well. So Canada being third in the medal standings behind Norway and Germany. Good to see Canada do that. But the hockey, I want to kind of stem towards the hockey a little bit. I'm really liking the Swedish team. I know I kind of just pushed away from Canada a little bit, but that Swedish team that's undefeated currently in the round-robin play, moving on to the quarters and semis and all the fun meat and potatoes side of things now. The Demons, they sound very, when I watch them play, they're so fast and hard-working. It's their type of style. That's the type of game I'm seeing. And with the Olympic athletes of Russia, too, you got the Magic Man, Datsuk, out there. And seeing Kovalchuk skate a little bit, I can tell he's a little bit older. He's not the same Kovalchuk that was in the National Hockey League that I see. But
he sniped a couple good goals against
USA.
He
has sniped, he's looking pretty good out there. So that's why he'll be returning to the National Hockey League next year. But Canada, had a tough loss. It's like the flashes of Nagano losing the Czech Republic in the shootout. So, big win going on against the quarterfinals. But with Canada, they have good goaltending. Their D I'm a little bit scarce with. I'm not really a fan of the D. But their forwards, Rene Bourque is one of their top guys. He's a hard-working guy. Woltok Wolski, former Colorado Avalanche. There's some good talent to watch on that ice in hockey. The United States not really doing that well at the Olympics.
10 medals.
But having the overall medal count not that well as well. So very surprised about that all in general. But I'm still sticking towards the hockey a lot, and I'm expecting Canada to go deep into the semis or even the gold medal game. But Sweden, that's the team to really pull out for Canada. And for the rest of the way, I got to give kudos to Norway. I never would have said Norway would be ahead of both
You stole my
Germany,
thunder.
Canada, the United States.
28 medals. They had 26 in Sochi.
Yeah, that's awesome. Good for Norway to see. Even Germany being ahead of both Canada, Russia, or Olympic athletes of Russia,
Call Russia, we're good.
and United States. So very entertaining Olympics all around. But trying to watch everything that I could, but hard with the work schedule and the life schedule in general, but keeping track of everything and the time difference to get up to watch those games. There's no way when I go to bed on a weekend at 2 a.m. after a night out that I'm getting up at 6:15 to watch it.
I love the 7 a.m. starts. I love it.
I pre-record it and don't look at any social media until I wake up. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm sure EJ's on the same boat. If it's a Saturday night, I'm sure you're not really rocking out or getting up at 7 a.m., EJ.
Well, I'll go next here. In addition to what I've already talked about with the curling and the hockey, you mentioned Norway. I mean, 28 medals, 11 golds, and me being a cross-country ski guy, I love watching those. I love watching the races. I love watching the biathlon. They never gave me a gun when I cross-country skied, so apparently they didn't trust me with it or my aim or something. But I love watching those events. And just really, there's not an event. And I got to watch a lot of Olympics over the last 5 days being under the weather and home away from work and radio. There's really not one event that I will turn off. Now, the Summer Olympics are a little different. There are a few that I won't watch. The trampoline, the handball, a few here and there. Every event I'm just intrigued by. I mean, the skeleton. I mean, are you kidding me?
No,
I mean, I thought luge was bad. These guys are going face first. I mean, the bobsled we've seen over the years. Any of the skiing events. I like the downhill. I like the moguls. I mean, you look at the snowboarders. I mean, how about Chloe Kim winning the young girl from America? I like the speed skating. How about the South Korean there, that 18-year-old that just in a short race almost lapped these girls. Unbelievable how much South Korea has gotten into speed skating as well as Netherlands. I mean, they obviously are the ones. And, I'm not ashamed to say it. I enjoy the figure skating. I enjoy the ice dancing. Amen. I enjoy the pairs. I'm going to enjoy the women's coming up here in a few days. So, EJ, to answer your question, I have been all about the Olympics, and I am loving it. I don't know if they're an official sponsor of this show, but I'm going to use it anyway. EJ Russell, your thoughts on your topic, sir?
Dave, unfortunately, you are incorrect, though. I am one of the guys that I'm up early, and I'm watching these games. I dive right into the Olympics, and all day at work, it's on TV. I don't miss much if it's on NBCSN right now. The game, the event that was the most fun for me to watch so far was the women's hockey tournament. You had Switzerland playing Japan, and that was far more interesting game than you could have ever thought it was. And that final 3 minutes of that game was probably the most fun I've had watching a final 3 minutes of hockey in a long time. The Swiss were up 3-1, and Japan was just battling, and a couple of their ladies were just out there over and over and over. But they were getting the corners, and they were banging, and they were getting opportunities, and it was good, clean hockey. And at the end of the game, it was just about that experience of those two teams playing to each other. They shook hands, and it was a good time. But, man, there have been so many events that I've just been way more excited about and way more into just because it's the Olympics. And it's a lot of fun. I love the pageantry. Koreans are putting on a great show. This has been a lot of fun watching this, and I think they're doing a great job. But, yeah, I've been really – the one thing that I've been watching, and Scotty said he loves it, I was surprised that I enjoyed the cross-country skiing and the biathlon more than I did. I've done it a few times when I was a kid, and it was a lot of fun. But, man, that's a lot of work, and watching those people do that, that's just impressive. But I love the Olympics. Dave, unfortunately, again, you are incorrect. I am up bright and early watching those games, mostly because I'll go out later that night, and when the game's on TV, I'll ask people if they want to bet on the final score.
There you go, promoting gambling on the game.
Yeah.
Good topic. EJ,
I'll
let's
bet
go to
a friendly
Davis
bet
for his topic, and then Dave, I'll give you first crack. We'll kind of just keep it going around the horn. So, Butch, what would you like to bring up on tonight's roundtable, sir?
Oh, boy. Let's. I would talk about wrestling, but I'm going to skip that for a minute here. Maybe we'll have time later to talk about that. But you know what? How about officiating in the college and high school ranks there? Mainly here, we talk about in the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan has lost over 2,000 coaches from last year's standing and coaches. A lot of it has to do with some foul play with some of the parents and whatnot, complaining about the individual referees and officials playing during the game. I watched some college games this weekend there, and I swear somebody's on the take here. How do you spell out coaching, and you're coaching the team and you're watching some of this officiating, which, by the way, I just can't explain it, but some of it's very bad.
Great topic, Butch. Just in general, Dave, as far as some of the officiating that Butch has alluded to, I mean, it happens on both sides of the border. What's your thoughts on this topic?
The officiating side, that mostly my knowledge will stem from the hockey side of things, and when it comes to me speculating on other sports or spreading my knowledge about other sports, be because of watching the sport live on television or sports recap or social media. So I'm, with your permission, Butch, that I'm just going to dive on into it more so on the hockey aspect of it. And you know, the officiating stems in terms of more a negative way, I feel, now than what it's ever have been. You know, watching it from even a men's league level, Scotty. I'm going to tell you right now, I know you're an individual who does baseball in the men's league level, and not putting down any umpires either, but even playing hardball in the summer, some balls that you think are strikes, they aren't. You know, it's not the professional level, but it's definitely not the officiating that's been the same in that realm, but watching it on the professional level, which I think more Butch is alluding to as the professional and the semi-pro and the college level, is I feel that the officiating has got more on the downward spiral. I feel that the officiating has changed in terms of more not really is getting caught behind the plays, not being in the right position, not making the right call, and not utilizing the right technology. And I feel a lot of the refs, and especially in the world of hockey, are more youthful, especially in the more of the CIS, if you want to go Canadian route, or the OHL level. A lot of them are youthful. In the NHL, you got lots of some veterans, but that are still learning the technology. And it really gets me going when they got to look on a little iPad in the NHL, especially to get a call right.
Sure.
You know, when you got over 50-plus people in a boardroom that have 65-plus inch TVs plastered in front of their screen while they make $100,000 a year. So, and they still can't get the calls right. I feel that officiating has not been consistent, and I feel officiating has not gotten any better as technology has advanced. And I hope that I'm answering the question to what Butch's standard is, and to you guys as well. But I feel that with the officiating, things need to change in general for all sports. I feel it has to be consistent. You have to have proper training. Not just there's a weekend course that I can go take to be a certified officiator, and then I can go take another weekend course, then move up into another league, take another weekend course, and I move up to one of the upper thresholds of the leagues in Sault Ste. Marie, where I can be reffing AAA or even almost the OHL. And then you gain more experience from games. I feel like there's got to be more of an educational standpoint for the referees, which makes a bit more work. But look at these officiators in the NHL. You ref in the NHL finals, you're almost making $500,000. Okay, you're making more money than what I do. You make more money in one game than I do in a matter of a year working at the Sioux Area Hospital. I'm going to throw one of my occupation styles. You know,
them as a sponsor.
So I can tell you right now that I feel that being an officiator is a tough gig. You're really under the microscope. You're really under pressure. You got to get the game right and the calls right. And I feel like you should have the technology and the tools to have it. And I feel that they do. But I also feel like you should have the knowledge and the 100% certainty that they're going to get the call right. And I feel a lot of refs in various leagues, NBA, MLB, NFL, especially NFL, is where the game has really slowed down, I find, with all these instant replays. But even the NHL, I feel like there's got to be a bit more education and really start nipping this in the butt in the junior and college level, so when they come up to the pro level, that they have the training and that they are able to really get better as the game goes on.
I'm going to take a little different direction. I know Butch kind of had a couple different things as far as his question, talking about my officiating and high school officiating in general. I do high school softball and baseball. This will be my 6th year doing it. And one thing across the state of Michigan that Butch already mentioned is there's a major shortage for officials. Not many people are going into the world of officials. Here locally, there's not a lot of baseball or softball officials. I already have lots of gigs, and we're still a couple months away from starting the season. And these officials are getting older, especially in basketball. I mean, you see the same 4 or 5 crews around here, and these are all guys older than me, and this just in. I'm not young anymore. And so I think less people are going into officiating, at least at the high school and local level, and that's for a variety of reasons. One is the pay is good. I wouldn't say it's great. You're not going to get rich, but you're going to do okay as far as that. But you have to go into it with also, it's not about making money. It's kind of in a way giving back. I know that sounds kind of maybe a canned line or so, but you have to enjoy being out there. And that's something I do. I enjoy being at the games. I enjoy talking to the athletes, interacting with the coaches. And, you know, I've never really had a major problem as far as officiating because I'm a type of guy that will talk. I'm not an authoritarian by any stretch, as you probably well know for those that know me, but it's one of those things that not a lot of people are getting into it. Now, to kind of address the bigger picture of officiating and how in certain aspects, especially some of the college basketball games I've seen, some of the hockey games that I've broadcast, and just some of the sports in general that you watch on TV, I think there's more scrutiny on officials. I think there's more technology available, which is making officials look bad. I mean, every baseball game now has the box there, which you didn't see even 10 years ago, that's showing a strike or not a strike. I mean, every play, it seems like in basketball, if there's a foot on the line or out of bounds, it stops the game. And so officials are just having more things pointed out due to technology that's making them look bad. Are they worse now than they were before the technology? Really hard to say, but I just think that the technology is making them look like they're worse in a lot of cases. So kind of went all around on that question, Butch, but I kind of wanted to add my experience as far as why some people aren't getting into the officiating experience. And, you know, for me, the high school and junior varsity level is not too bad. Normally, you know, most games go out without a hitch. You're always going to have coaches complain about calls and strike zones, et cetera, et cetera. One thing, you got to be consistent. You just got to talk to people. That's always been my motto, and it's worked well. But it's at the lower levels that really, I think, drives away officials. I mean, you look at some guys that are just out of high school that played hockey, that played baseball, and they go into the officiating realms, and those are some of the toughest levels in any sport to officiate. I'm talking about the hockey moms that are yelling because their squirt didn't get the right call, or I'm talking about the Little League softball player who's 9 years old that mom or dad is screaming at the officials. So I think it's a combination of things. I went all over the place on the topic, but I think I covered a few things at least. E.J. Russell, your thoughts on Butch's topic before we go to Butch on his thoughts.
Boy, am I the wrong person to talk to about officials, because I have never gotten along with them. No matter what level I've ever played at. Not every time, but a lot of times, I'm that one guy that the officials know me. We'll just put it that way. And I know what it's like just being aggravated by an official. I can't imagine what it would be like to be the official that has to deal with me. And the problem is that I'm not the only guy out there that, you know, does know the rules and will argue the rules and make it miserable for you. But who wants to do that to make $50 or whatever the pay may be for a game? I don't want to do that. I wouldn't do it. And the problem is like you guys say, there's a shortage of officials because people don't want to deal with the guys like me, or like Scotty said, the hockey moms that are complaining because their son didn't get the call. It's not an easy gig. And really, with the way that society's moving and everybody being offended by everything, would you want to be in a position of control and a spot where people are going to hear everything that you say and judge everything that you do with the way people are these days? I wouldn't want to do it. I wouldn't want to deal with players like me. I give a lot of credit to people that do officiate. A family friend of mine named Joel Bender recently reffed his last full season game, and he's retiring from officiating. I mean, people are going out, and Joel's not an old guy, but he's not a young guy. And I hope people step up to the plate. I hope maybe somehow if we can magically find a way to pay these guys a little bit better, I think that we should try that. But I give all the credit in the world to officials. I won't talk about things like replay and stuff like that, but to the guys that do it, the boys in blue on the ball diamond, good on you, and keep doing what you're doing, but I'll apologize in advance. I'm going to hassle you all the time.
Butch, a fantastic topic, 3 very different perspectives. I want to get your thoughts on your topic. Great one tonight.
Oh, the perspectives that I received from all of you guys should be commended there. Food for thought here. It's not easy to be an official in any point of view here. And we could talk about the officials who have the advantage and the electronics and everything else to help them out and still to get it wrong. We could talk about the officials who at the pee-wee levels and whatnot maybe make a mistake. And we have those parents and guardians chasing them out the ball field and into somebody's liquor store or something there. None of this is easy there. But the fact of the matter is there's a shortage in refereeing and officiating for the tights and for middle schools and maybe at the level of high school there. Hopefully people, girls or boys, men or women, don't get discouraged by the attitude that maybe somebody like a E.J. Russell might come and go after you or whatever it may be, because that's part of it.
Hey, I'm not going to attack people, all right?
I love it.
I'm a very verbal guy.
No, we ain't saying that. But again, we look at the way Scott takes the view of the particular situation by getting the earful from the compatriots in general, and more or less have a conscience of getting things right, or discussing the certain issue with the particulars is a good way to go about it as well there. I think my biggest concern is where the electronics and everything is available in the professional ranks and as of in college, and they still get it wrong, and we watch this constantly, and how much it discourages people from even dealing with sports altogether. It's a tragedy. There got to be some accountability to it, and that's where the leagues or the particular people who are in charge within has to do a better job of monitoring those particular officials and referees and making sure that they use all the ingredients and all the doggone tools necessary to make sure the game is dealt with on an even keel here, okay? And that's all I'm saying there. The state of Michigan, I'm going to use them as a fine example. They're trying to do more getting people to come out of high school to start officiating. The money is not too bad. I think football and basketball, you get to the varsity level, you can make anywhere from $60 to $75. I remember I was an announcer or the public address announcer, and I get $60 a game. And, for 2 hours and maybe some odd minutes of my time, that's not too bad at all, to scratch the surface on that. Maybe you'll get a little bit less, maybe about $50 in the standings of maybe the junior varsity or maybe the middle school or educational level. But it's some bucks that is well dealt with. An hour and a half, 2 hours of your time is worth it. Just basically, if you get into it, have a dedication toward it to be the best you can be, and not sit up there and cheat people and give them a sloppy game or a sloppy doggone experience where, again, you will have people coming after you and chasing you to the neighborhood liquor store. Hey, that's all I can tell you here.
Great topic, Butch, and you are listening to the Roundtable portion of our sports show, The Game, broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street here at the Wicked Sister. Scott Nason along with Dave McCaig, and online Butch Davis and E.J. Russell going on at the Wicked Sister. Happy hour, Monday through Friday, 2 to 5 p.m. $2 domestics, $1 off of draft pints, and house lines. Wow,
Sorry.
Easy there, Dave.
Sorry. I tried to cover them out there.
I appreciate that. Let's continue the discussion, gentlemen. Dave, your turn for the topic. I'll take first crack, and we'll just keep it going around to EJ and then Butch. So, Dave, Mr. Electric Avenue, host of the Game Sports Show in Sioux, Ontario. what would you like to bring up to tonight's roundtable?
I'll say first though that you are the true heartbeat, though, Scotty.
No, we're all
so modest.
Don't.
So nice. I know. I like making you blush. I like seeing those rosy cheeks going up.
Well, it's probably from all the sickness and NyQuil. But what's your topic tonight, sir?
Sorry you had to hear that, EJ and Bunch. I'm sure you're getting a little chuckle out of me over here. The Canadian side's coming out.
Love it.
Over here.
Do it up.
But no, you know what? I was going to bring up the trade deadline. I feel like that's a big topic to bring out. However, you know what? I don't really want to go the obvious route. Maybe use that as kind of like a bonus topic that we can discuss. I want to bring up a topic that we discussed on the Game Sports Show last week in terms of being a professional athlete and what would really make you persuade to join an organization as a professional athlete. We brought up something. We have a newly implemented roundtable on our sports.
Oh, wow.
Sports
Where'd you get
Center.
that idea
I don't
from?
know. We don't know. I don't know where I got the roundtable idea from. But for the Canadian side of Sports Center Bar and Grill, we bring out random topics. It's we just talk about a random topic. And the topic that I brought forth last week was, let's say you're a professional athlete in the world of hockey, NFL, any kind of sport.
I like it.
You're an average athlete. You're not an Austin Matthews, but nor are you a Drew Fata. But Drew Fata, I'm a friend of Drew Fata.
Guest on the game a couple weeks ago.
Yes, he was. But you're coming out of your rookie contract, so I'm getting into specifics a little bit, but you're an above average talent, and you're able to sign somewhere. Are you going somewhere to build your legacy, or are you going somewhere to get money? Now, I know when it comes to basketball, it's a little bit different. Look at Durant that went over to Golden State. He got money and he got titles.
Yeah.
Baseball, it's almost the same as basketball. That hockey, a little different. If you choose money to go somewhere, you might not be able to build teams around you to make you a successful team. So kind of keeping it realistic, keeping it fun on this round table. I want to see what would persuade you more? Is it the legacy or is it the money that persuades you to go somewhere to really choose where to play and play the rest of your career or play years of your career or whatever you be it?
Sure. Well, if it was me and I was coming out of college, I would probably be a single man. So I wouldn't have a family to necessarily consider as far as that. Obviously now being a parent, I would want to go to a place that had a lot of good things for my family and my kids. And also being a pure capitalist, I would go for the money. I'm just being straight up and honest. I would go for the best deal. I would go for who would pay me more. I would go to a place where maybe the taxes were a little lower. So no offense, Canada's out the window as far as that. These are some of the things that I would look for as far as if I had my choices. Now, would I want to go to a winning organization? Of course. I mean, I think anybody would want that. Most people want to win rather than lose, but for me, it would go to the highest bidder. I just put myself out there. You got Phoenix, you're going to pay me $10 million for 5 years. Colorado, you're going to pay me $11 for 4. Okay, I'm going. Well, I don't know which one's better there. My math's bad, but I'm going to the highest bidder. I'm going to sell myself out. I'm a capitalist, and I am proud of it. So that's how I am going to answer. Probably a little different than you guys. But, EJ, what's your thoughts on Dave's question? Good question tonight, guys.
I love this question. And Scotty, you're a sellout. I'm like surprised that you went that route. I'm a guy, and this is why I used to think, Scotty, now we really know about you, but I used to think we were all guys that were into sports because of the story, the legacy, the passion, the history. And for me, if I'm going somewhere, it's somewhere that's giving me the best chance to win, because at the end of the day, having that name and that kind of recognition and winning, it comes with its own level of success in its own right. But when you win that much, trust me, you're still getting paid. So it goes hand in hand. Obviously, if you're in one of those spots where you're winning nonstop, you're getting a decent paycheck, and everybody wants that. You're not going to go somewhere and win a bunch of games and not get paid. If that's happening, you're making a move. But as a reasonable person, I'm saying, give me the rings, give me the cups. I'm chasing glory. That's my answer.
But you know that it's certainly no money in radio and some of the things that we do. Maybe that's why my answer was so on one side. But Butch, what's your thoughts on Dave's topic tonight?
Oh, well, when I came out of college and whatnot, and the first gig I went to, first gig I went to was an internship with the Portland Trail Blazers, and enjoyed it tremendously. They would do it for nothing, absolutely nothing. So it shocked the crap out of me. After three weeks, they ended up hiring me here, to do noble things like, John Spostra was a very nice guy here, and you do things around the bend, and you made some money, and it happened to be 1977 where I never thought that, the team that I was supporting and giving information to the others were the thing. So I got all these rings and money and free stuff and the girls and all of the other good stuff there. But, in the long haul, I got to go after the money here. I got to go after the cash flow because, I don't know if I've done everything, but I have about done almost everything. So it has to be worth my while. It has to be somewhat rewarding, but it also has to pay good here. So I would definitely go after the money here.
Knew you would, Butch. That's my boy right there. Dave McCaig, let's answer your own topic, sir. I know which direction you're going, but hey, your topic.
You guys are sellouts.
I'm shocked, actually.
I love it.
But you know what?
Dave, don't you sell out.
When we did the first question, it was a clean sweep of the legacy, so it obviously spoils my answer. I've been on the show previously and said what I've said about Kevin Durant, selling himself out, but look what's happened. He's
good investment.
Obviously he's won a title and he's done pretty well for himself. So obviously it depends on the sport, perhaps. But I'm a type of guy that would love to go for the legacy, change championships, and I would love to do it with my favorite team. Now, me being a Toronto fan, for example, using the world of hockey with the Maple Leafs, I think that's realistic now, where I could say where I would sign there and hopefully win a Stanley Cup, right? But the thing is, I'm all going for rings. I'm someone who played the world of sport until junior hockey, minor level junior. Man, I wasn't a
nothing to be ashamed about. NLJHL, it's a great league. I love it.
Yes, but
don't talk yourself down.
But the thing is, I don't have any rings.
Right.
I have had.
Well, you got traded too much.
I did, but I was on teams that were definitely built to win, and especially the 2010 Thunderbirds. We were definitely probably the best team to ice for the Birds, and we didn't even get past the semifinals. Jake Patterson and the Sioux Eagles defeated us.
Red Wings.
Yes, and it's when you average 50 saves a game, it kind of really helps. But back to my topic there, with the whole point is legacy. I feel winning rings, there's nothing better, because when you win legacy, there comes a time where money follows that. When you have a 5-time or 3-time or 2-time or Stanley Cup champion on your team and you've already built a good career, you can go spend the last few years of your career making that money for that team. So I'm definitely going with the legacy side of things, and the way that I would do it is that I would sign somewhere for that legacy, to win cups, preferably for my favorite team that I watched growing up, but somewhere to win cups, and I would spend the last 2 to 3 years of my career somewhere hot. I would definitely look towards Phoenix, Arizona, actually, LA, Tampa Bay. That's how I would do it. I'd do legacy for the first little bit, but if I haven't won yet, I am playing until I win, and I'm taking a slight discount to go to a team that's going to win so I can get my name engraved on that Stanley Cup, or that name engraved on the World Series to get a ring, or the Super Bowl, or even the I'm missing one basketball, the NBA championships, to get rings. Having rings and building that legacy is far more important. Look what everyone compares with Michael Jordan and LeBron. Okay, what does Michael Jordan have that LeBron doesn't?
6 rings.
6 rings, right? Look at Tom Brady. I know he has 5 rings, right? The most ever. Everyone looks at that legacy that he's created, and he's also been a guy who took a discount to be a quarterback for the Patriots to have this dynasty be built. So I'm not a big Tom Brady fan, but there's someone I have kudos for. The only reason why I'm not a fan of him is because he wins too much. I am a fan of who he is and how he is for the sports. No, he didn't. He lost to Nick Foles and the Eagles. But the thing is, it's definitely legacy over currency.
Great questions, guys. Let's continue our roundtable. I will bring out my topic, and then EJ will give you first crack, and then Butch. And this one's kind of localized, but it goes to a bigger question as far as sports. Now, there were 2 recent examples of some games that kind of got out of hand as far as the score, and I want your guys' thoughts on these. Now, one happened in high school basketball. Butch, you mentioned her in the first hour. We also talked about Doreen Ingalls, the 5-time state championship winning coach of the St. Ignace Saints girls game. They had a game in Brimley. I did not cover that game. Todd Olmstead covered that one. And in high school basketball, there's a mercy rule after the half. And St. Ignace has rolled through everybody up here. They haven't even been close in their games, except, of course, playing Detroit Edison this weekend, who probably the best team in the state in all of girls basketball. But they were up, St. Ignace was up 72-6 at half against Brimley. And they ended up winning that game by the score of 98-8. Now, by all accounts, and again, I wasn't there, St. Ignace, they didn't really let their foot off the pedal till about 5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter. Some people were not happy with that. That's example number one. Recent example here at the SR Center on Friday, Dave. Hamilton and the Sioux Greyhounds. Hamilton fell to the Sioux Greyhounds by the score of 10-0. The Hamilton coach after the game was not real thrilled with how the Greyhounds were still playing a lot of their top players at the end. Again, these are the same age almost of both. I mean, high school is obviously a little bit younger, ages 15 to 18, whereas junior hockey is 16 to 20. But at what point, and I guess the question I have is, what point is enough? Now, there's one side of the coin that says, well, that's why the Sioux Greyhounds are the best team in the OHL. That's why St. Ignace has won 5 state titles. We've seen that happen over the years here locally with the Cedarville Trojans in boys basketball, where they wouldn't take the foot off the gas till sometimes the game was well decided, and, well, guess what? They won state championships. So, when is too much? Those are two examples. We see it sometimes in college football when a team's up and they'll maybe kick a field goal when they're up 50 or maybe try to run up the score. You see it in all sports. But I'm talking about at the lower levels of sports, not professionally, but we're talking specifically junior hockey and high school basketball. I mean, do you have any problems with those two scenarios? Do you think it's too much? Do you think it's not enough? Just your overall thoughts. EJ, I'll talk to you first. Or you go ahead first, I should say.
I understand the respect part of just not laying it down on somebody, but if your team is that talented and the other team just like legitimately can't do anything about it, you can't just pass the ball around them all day. That's far more embarrassing to just pass the ball in circles around them. I mean, you just sometimes in sports you just got to get your butt whooped, and what was Scotty, do you have the numbers from that game? What was the shooting percentage? Do you have that?
I don't know that. I know that St. Ignace kept their press going till about the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter, and then some fans got upset because they didn't want to get 100 points. They were stuck on about 96, 98, and so they passed the ball around for a few minutes, and the fans got upset. It was in Brimley, so it was kind of a no-win situation for St. Ignace, who was obviously much more talented than Brimley. So it was just a matter of fact that, you can't help who's on your schedule. You got to play out the games.
Yeah, and that just you're further proving my point there is when they started passing it around, that's when people started chirping. I mean, you can't win there when the level of play is that much different. As far as the team goes, if I was the girls, you can't complain on them for running up the score. You got to do a little something there. You got to learn that whatever it is you're doing isn't working and work towards getting better. Sometimes you just got to get your butt whooped. Some of the greatest learning moments of my life came from getting knocked down. I mean, we all had moments like that. And so sometimes in sports, you just got to get one handed to you. You learn from it. You get better. Either way, after the game, you're still shaking hands.
Butch, you know Doreen. I know Doreen, and she's a very competitive coach. She's not one that I've found over the years covering her teams to run up the score, and so I'm not going to say that's what happened. But, when the score's that way and what happens, some people are going to say that. What's your thoughts on my topic, sir?
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, Doreen, she empties the bench and whatever it may be. I think a lot of fans don't know. When the score's at a certain point, especially in high school, I know it happens in football, and in basketball, it can be demanded by the official that they can have a running clock, okay?
Correct.
What running clock means is that the clock just continue to run, and you're out of the gym faster than maybe you thought you would be. But to take the competitive out the game and tell the kids to milk it, I'm with Doreen. Nail them to the cross here,
Yeah.
I'm with Doreen and a lot of other coaches because you're taking away from the kids who don't get to play ordinarily in the situation. Now, if you like Stan Van Gundy, okay, with Atlanta last week, where they was leading by 30 points and almost lost the game, that's a different scenario here, okay?
Right.
But again, there's always it's a balance point to that. You cannot take the competitive away from the game itself because it has its effect. And again, I use Stan Van Gundy and the Pistons as a perfect example. They almost lost the game that, again, they was winning by 30 points. You just can't tell the guys just go ahead and snowball it. You got to get something out of that where those bench warmers go in there and take their time seriously and play their very best. So for me to say I go along with the program or the parents say, oh, you shouldn't have did that, snipe them, okay? Forget that here. Again, the running clock is working. If you're doing what you're supposed to do, the clock is always going to be running. Hey, you can get out of there quicker. Just keep running up and down the court there and do the very best you can. I'm not against that at all.
And Dave, on this side, as Butch mentioned, there's a running clock after a 40-point lead in the second half in high school football and basketball. In high school hockey, if you get to an 8-goal margin in the third period, they just call the game at that point. Now, with the Greyhounds example, they don't. NLJHL, you can be 25-1, you're still playing. What's your thoughts as far as the Ontario perspective, as far as the OHL, the NLJHL, and my topic?
To simply just jump in and say it, it's so much different in a junior, in a midget. College, yes. I don't know how I'll ask you first before I jump into it. College, you compare it to pro, or do you compare it to more of the OHL junior in the stateside?
I would say, yeah. I would say something like that.
Something like that? Okay, so I'll stick with that then, where it's different. We're in the National Hockey League. I'll even start there. The National Hockey League, the MLB, and professional sports, you can't have a mercy rule. There's no way you got fans paying $100 if you're in the Air Canada Center or Scotiabank Place. Sorry,
right.
It's going to be called. Oh, I hate it. Sorry, I know that's not a word we say, but I don't like Scotiabank Place. I'm still going to call it the Air Canada Center, just like I call Little Caesars the Joe Louis still. But at the end of the day, you're paying money to see those games, so you can't implement a mercy rule on there unless you're going to give back money to fans, which, trust me, any NHL organization's not, especially the Arizona Coyotes, where they have a hard time getting butts in those seats as it is. So that's not going to happen in professional sports. So going to where this more of the meat potatoes, as you would say, for this question being in college, junior, and minor junior or major junior. The college route, I feel that in the world of football and the NCAA ranks, you should keep it the way that it is. There is no mercy rule in the world of basketball, football, hockey. You keep going, you keep playing, because I even still compare it to where these kids are still playing and try to prove themselves to get to the next level. And they're also paying fans to get into those seats the majority of the time as well, so you can't implement that. But with the Hounds, for example, being up 10-0, absolutely not. I feel that you keep it going. You're still in a semi-professional atmosphere. It's more so towards the junior hockey
absolutely.
kind of things,
OHL, definitely.
Sure, but these are also individuals that are drafted. Look at Radish and Kachuk, second-round picks of the Lightning, okay? Them getting a 5.9 on a port night looks great when Tampa Bay's looking at the stats next year. So,
and this is a team that the Hounds lost to last
exactly,
weekend, 5-2.
The coach is just a little bitter because he realizes that a team's up against a perennial powerhouse.
Sure.
Okay, so I understand the frustration towards them and the problem that sports have with this mercy rule. Okay, now if you're up 15-0, I get it, but now we're going to stick towards the high school part of it, where with college and with the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds and the OHL side of it, you cannot have a mercy rule. There could be nothing in there. But high school and the Sioux Thunderbirds, I think the NOJHL and having it there, that's where you can step in. Look, I've been on the Sioux Thunderbirds. I've been on the Eagles and Beavers. For all three of those teams, we have shellacked the Manitoulin Islanders. I mean, when I was with the Birds one time, we beat them 23-1. Okay, they had a goal in the last 2 minutes of the game. It's because we had two forwards playing defense and two defense playing forward, and we forgot to put a guy on the ice. Sorry, Preston Mitzi, I threw under the bus there.
Wow.
Sorry.
Preston Mitzi reference there.
But we had 4 guys on the ice, and we should have had 5. Okay, so we were up 23. We won that game, and yours truly had a little bit of a point night. So I feel when you get to that point, when you're up to those levels, you should stop playing. High school now, into that? Yes. You need to have a mercy rule. But then you look at where you're going. These guys don't want to get the 100 points. They don't want to embarrass the other team. They don't want to do that. But what are you going to do in hockey or basketball, baseball, or anything like that? When you go down, okay, I'm on a 2-on-0. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to stop here on this breakaway and be like, here's the puck. No, I'm not going to put down my level or bring down my intensity for the game because of the score in this game. You got to keep going, okay, until a rule comes in place. And the big problem is with high school sports, violence comes in afterwards. Or kids are getting mad from getting embarrassed. Maybe not in basketball so much, but at the end of the day, when it comes towards the hockey side of things or even football, you got to implement this in the high school sports, I think, and in the minor division sports, and maybe even the NOJHL a little bit where you can start is where the cap off is. That's where you can have this mercy rule. Anything after that, you got to keep playing the game until the final buzzer goes, because you know what, that's the name of the game. And if you're more talented than the other team, it is what it is.
You know what the name of the game is here? The game, because that's the sports show. And I'll be pretty quick on my comments here. Obviously, the Greyhounds one, I don't got a problem with at all. I mean, it's a professional. They are setting themselves up for a professional hockey league career. Many of those players are, and so I mean, you don't see those scores very often. For one, in the OHL, I mean, it's a rarity. You don't see it in the NOJHL now, not like you did, because it's more of a top to bottom league.
Very true. Very true.
As far as the high school situation with Brimley and St. Ignace, I mean, St. Ignace, to their credit, goes and they can't help who they play. They're going to play in their conference opponents. They're going to play the EUP schools here. But Doreen's done a great job to schedule outside. I mean, they went down to Detroit Edison, for crying out loud, on Saturday. They played at Ann Arbor. I think they went down to Detroit again over the Christmas break. So it's not like they're, ducking and dodging these big teams. They're just good, and that's why they have 5 state championships on their banners, and that's the sort of thing. And so I don't think by any stretch of the imagination that anybody was running up the score, which is unfortunate for Brimley, because I cover the Brimley Bays. I know their coach Ray Bell. He's a great guy, and it's a tough situation for both coaches, because nothing good is coming out of a game that's 98-8. Absolutely nothing. But what can the other team do? I mean, it's a tough thing that you see in sports, but you know what? You don't see it that much, and that's a good thing. So let's get to our thumbs up and thumbs down for the week. I will start, then we'll go to EJ, Butch, and Dave. Thumbs up to Sault High Swimming. We talked about them earlier tonight with their coach, Steve Habusta. And one of their swimmers there getting UP records. They didn't win the team event, but had some great individual finishes. And it's a sport we don't talk enough about, but it's these athletes, and we have a very good swimming program and diving program here in Sault Ste. Marie. And so thumbs up to the Sault High swimming team and their athletes, and to Coach Steve Habusta. Thumbs up to the Winter Olympics, just in general. A lot of people saying the ratings are down. NBC's coverage is this, NBC's coverage is that. I'll tell you what, I watched a lot of Olympics over the last few days, and I'm very happy with NBC's coverage. I'm very happy with CBC's coverage. Everything that I've wanted to see has been shown. I mean, they show everything. Obviously, you get the recorded sports like cross-country skiing and some of the skeletons and stuff during the day, but you get a lot of live hockey. All the hockey's been live that I've seen. Tonight, U.S. is taking on Slovakia in men's hockey, 10 o'clock. I'll go to bed watching that one. Tomorrow morning, there's some games. Hey, U.S. and Canada, thumbs up. Women's hockey final yet again. U.S. needs to win. It's been a while since Nagano in 1998. So a big thumbs up to the Winter Olympics. I think it is doing fantastic. And thumbs down, Winter Olympics, Alexander Krushelnitsky. I don't know if he was related to the Krushelnitsky named Mike that used to play in the NHL, but he's a Russian curler who failed a drug test. Performance-enhancing drugs in curling, Dave. Say it ain't so. Although authorities are investigating the possibility of sabotage, so I'm sure, hey, if it's Russia, there had to be sabotage involved, apparently, and everything else in life. But really, do you need performance-enhancing drugs for curling?
If you have that for curling, you're going to throw the rock off the
ice. Exactly right.
Literally don't understand why that's a thing.
But I love the curling. I got to admit, I am all about the curling. EJ Russell on the Team Wireless hot seat. Your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
Thumbs up. USA Hockey women's team. Jocelyn Lamoureux going out and setting an Olympic record, scoring 2 goals in 6 seconds. Not just the fastest time in women's hockey history in the Olympics, fastest time in both the men and women's. Fastest ever. 2 goals in the history of the Olympics. So thumbs up to her. Thought that was really cool. Thumbs down, I really don't have one for this week. I've just been very excited about the Olympics. You know what? I'll make one up here if I have to give a thumbs down. It's that I have some stupid video of Kevin Hart and LeVar Ball sitting in an ice tub coming across my Facebook page. So that'll be my thumbs down for the week. It's been terrible.
Another reason I'm not on Facebook, along as all of the Fergie references for the national anthem.
I can't stand
Butch Davis
LeVar
from the
Ball.
Telegram News and the radio broadcast Butch on Sports. Your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
I'm a big guy, and I didn't watch too much of the game, but I saw it on Facebook. Was Fergie drunk or something when she did that national anthem or something?
Must have been. I can't explain it otherwise, Butch.
Well, don't tell her. I got to get better than that here, man. Oh, boy. Thumbs up again to the Miss Eagles there who came down here, a considerable amount of miles. And you mentioned also a couple of weeks ago, it was in Ann Arbor during the holiday season. They was down there during the break playing basketball. And still they're at a competitive level, second to none. I agree with you, Scott. That's why she got 5, and maybe they'll get 6 this year when they go on down to Calvin University there. Got to kind of remind them now. It's Calvin College there.
That's right.
The girls' final at this year here. So you give you the heads up there. And next week is all about the March Madness there for the girls there. So thumbs up for her, and a deep tragedy and loss to the Russell family. I know Greg Russell does a lot of Hollywood reporting and whatnot there. Cliff Russell, a friend indeed. I remember one of the stories I did not share with you. Once upon a time when I was covering for the Telegram News, that the Detroit Tigers would not let me in a locker room here. Would never let, and this went on for 2 or 3 years until Cliff Russell came about and heard the story that I had to tell him about the locker room, and that I was just getting very discouraged. He made that he put that away, that myth away, and I've been covering the locker room ever since for the Detroit Tigers and for the Telegram News. There, Cliff opened the doors for me where everybody else wanted to stay stagnant, and again, I highly appreciate that guy here. May he rest in peace. And I pray for his family and his friends there. And that's a terrible loss. I'm going to miss him so.
Good stuff, Butch, and our condolences with his family as well. Dave McCaig, host of the Game Sports Show, Sault, Ontario, Sports Center Bar and Grill and Boston Pizza. Your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
I got to give a thumbs up to Tessa Virtue and Scott Moore of Canada Figure Skating. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they've been doing it for quite some time, and they are quite the legends in that, I'd like to say, even though at a young age, may I add, they're legends, but it's in the world of the Olympics. They got to give them the thumbs up for Canada. I got to also give a thumbs up for an excitement purpose of the NHL trade deadline coming up on Monday, next week, 26th. Yeah. Very excited to see the moves that are going to happen. Please expect the Winnipeg Jets to be active, as heard first here on the game. Paul Maurice's wish list, which he first broke here on the Game Sports Show. Definitely going to see what the NHL teams do there for Monday. So I got to give a thumbs up towards being excited for that. Then a thumbs down. I got no negatives. I'm getting over the flu. How about that? You know what? There you go. The flu bug going around the Twin Saults, especially on the Canadian side too. All my friends.
It's all over the place.
It's all over the place. Let's battle that bug, and let's get back to watching this exciting Olympics. Trade deadline coming up. You got the playoffs around the corner for all sports. You got March Madness around the corner. God, it's an exciting time to be a sports fan.
It sure is. Let's go around the horn one more time. E.J. Russell, hey, get better, my friend. Now, we're going to be off a couple weeks there due to district basketball, but we'll resume in March. Feel better, and any final thoughts before we let you go?
No, nothing crazy. Just keep enjoying these Olympics. Go USA. Dave, you might get the win on this one. Being Canadian, you guys get more snow than we do out there, so you're better with this cold weather stuff. But yeah, go USA. See you guys later. Peace out.
Thanks, EJ. And Butch Davis, you can find him on our podcast of the Game Sports Show at podbean.com. You can also find him on his podcast page, Simply Butch2. That's too.podomatic.com, or you can find his website, Butch on Sports. You can also find him on Facebook. Butch, any final thoughts before we let you go?
I don't know. I'm going to be busy just like you starting next week here with all these playoff games and stuff and just moving around here. And I can't wait. But again, it just comes out at me all at once. And then the Detroit Pistons hopefully get it together. They got more games on the road than they will at home. Let's see what they do in active portion that they get this stuff right. Because I'm afraid that we might see a new coach next year if they don't get it together there.
I think you're right, sir. And Dave McCaig, what do you have in store this week? I know you have your show Thursday night at Boston Pizza. Give us a preview.
Absolutely. So we will have Wednesday at Sports Center Bar and Grill as well. We'll have a little basketball talk. We're hopefully, we are going to have a roundtable talk. We're not going to have our WWE fictional character debut till next week. So that's next week. And speaking of Sports Center, since we're not here Mondays, we might move our Sports Centers that are usually every Wednesday to the next 2 Mondays just to sub in to keep it spaced out. So keep an eye on that with those updates. But this Thursday at Boston Pizza, we're going to have former Saginaw Spirit and former Detroit Red Wing pick Zach Turquato on the show, a good friend of mine as well. We are hoping to have as well, we were kind of talking to Greg Hartsburg, might not be till next week as he is in Florida right now. He's going to be back Thursday, so it might be a little time consuming. So if it's not this week, that might be next week with him for that. But definitely this week we'll have Zach Turquato on, and we'll have the show at Boston Pizza at 9:30, and we'll also have the show at 9:30 on Wednesday as well at Sports Center Bar and Grill. So make sure you tune into that at thegamesportshow.podbean.com. We also hope to have our announcement with our merchandise. As I'm meeting with 2 organizations for charity to get on our shirts, where when you buy the shirt, all the proceeds go towards the cost of the shirts and to charity.
Oh, my goodness.
In discussion
Breaking
with,
news here,
with Big Brother and Northern Critters in Need. Those are the 2 organizations we're planning on joining, so hopefully that all works out. And the website's all launched, just the bios. I'm awaiting some people's bios, and I know they're on the other end.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
And definitely just
I don't know who he's talking
down
about.
on the website. And then this game sports show, all the fun stuff is all launched. Make sure you follow us on the Podbean page, and even follow the Boston Pizza page and everything the Wicked Sister and all our pages to keep locked in on the sports show that you love most.
Absolutely. That's going to do it here from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street. Want to thank all our guests, including Dave McCaig, Butch Davis, E.J. Russell. I want to also thank Steve Habusta and Andrew Innerebner from the Sioux High Swim and Diving Team, and assistant coach Mike York from the Laker Hockey Team, and our broadcast engineer, Katie Woolen. Now, once again, we won't have a show from the Wicked Sister here for the next couple weeks because of district basketball. We may still put a show online here if our schedules do line up. And you can catch this show along with Dave's show, Butch's show, and just sports in general on the brand new podcast page of the Game Sports Show. It's thegamesportshow.podbean.com. That's going to do it here for the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street. We will talk to you soon on the game here on Eagle 95.1.